In this town, they don't know your name. No one cares, you gotta make your own way. Deaf to every word that you say. In this town. In this town, people pass you by. They'll look at the ground before they look you in the eye. You can't tell the truth from a lie. In this town. In this town, you'll learn how to make it alone. In this town, you'll forget how it feels to be home. In this town, you'll meet the end of the road. In this town, I'll never let you go. In this town, they'll feed on your fear. Show them you're weak and you'll just disappear. The soul becomes a cheap souvenir. In this town. In this town, you can't get out a back door. Nothing's enough, they'll just keep taking more. You're not the only one keeping score. In this town. In this town, you learn how to make it alone. In this town, you forget how it feels to be home. In this town, you meet the end of the road. In this town, they'll never let you go. Visions walk us out by the sea. Church is over there. The market's in the middle. But my place in this town might always be nowhere. In this town, you learn how to make it alone. In this town, you forget how it feels to be home. In this town, you meet the end of
Welcome, everybody, back to ForeverVerse.
Hello.
You just heard a wonderful rendition, a pre-recorded version of In This Town, as well as the debut of Puppetland.
Yes.
That one, yeah, you promised me a rich and dark and creepy song.
The curtains
We
close
delivered.
tonight in Puppetland.
Oh, yeah. The Maker sleeps by Punch's hand.
Yeah.
Yep. Big fan of Puppetland. I don't know. It's weird. I've always enjoyed, like, dark theater like that. That's great. Well, guys, welcome back to another episode. So sorry that I was out last week, but I hope you all had a great time enjoying Honey Heist with Mr. Saxcar filling in for me since I was, as I texted him, I said, I need a priest. That was about it.
You said you were hard sick.
Yes, I was hard sick.
Hard sick.
Sick from Boston.
Hard sick.
So hard sick, wicked sick.
But I appreciate you all being patient while you watched a bunch of bears run around at the honey convention.
And run around they did.
There was running and there was around.
In fact, I am told by Saxcar, he said earlier that one of the someone's going to get a tattoo, and one of the options on the charity stream is
Sax is going to get a tattoo.
Sax is going to get a
Yes,
tattoo.
it's Sax's tattoo.
And one of them is the bear that
The Sax bear.
The Sax bear
The
that was
Sax bear.
playing.
The one that's in the lead right now is the hype face. So for those of you who voted for that, good job. And for those of you who haven't voted yet, let's keep that one in the lead.
I don't know,
Let's
man.
put my face on Sax's arm forever.
I am a fan
love
of Sax bear. So my vote's Sax bear.
Yeah, me too. I feel weird asking people to vote for Erica's face to permanently be attached to Sax, but
Yes.
I'm fine with him as a bear.
I'm fine with him as a bear.
Right, yeah.
Sure.
Bear,
Yeah.
not as-
Yeah, it's not. It's it's got a great
that
story.
one will
It's
require a lot
practical.
less explanation.
He says it with a smile. I think he secretly wants Erica's face.
Oh, no, I asked him, and I was like, you would do that? He's like, oh, sure, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
I just learned just now that that's your face on the hype thing. I never knew
Yeah.
that was you on the
Yeah.
hype emoji.
Well,
I look
Erica's
different.
the embodiment of hype,
Aw,
So-
thanks, Isaac.
as they say.
We don't have a chat room when we do first
Oh,
verse, so
yeah.
to be
gotcha,
to
gotcha.
Jason's defense, we don't see, and whenever we do ForeverVerse, we don't see the chat, so.
Right, we're not. Yeah,
Right.
we're in the puppet thing. We're not in the chat.
We're not in the chat thing,
Yeah.
which is fine.
hi,
So
chat.
now that we are back in Puppetland, we actually have an opportunity because we haven't done one in a while, and we have many to fulfill from you, our wonderful, wonderful audience.
yes, I know. Oh,
A
yay.
beautiful, wonderful eureka moment.
Yay! Those are my favorite things. I love them.
You just want to know what's going on, Amy Vorpal.
I do.
And
I
you're
do.
mad at Damien.
Your
for-
eureka moments make me angry.
It's good. I don't mind eliciting that kind of response.
Yeah.
So, yes. So in the meantime, before we get into our Puppetland breakdown, I have decided that we are moving on to Santiago's second Eureka moment. And
You guys take a lot of notes. Take a lot of notes.
All right.
this one I like to call an alternate to diplomacy. The
Oh
first
my
one,
god, it's got its own title?
Are we getting into aggressive negotiations?
the first one
You
was
have a pen yet,
actually
Amy? You don't have a pen yet? We're about to start the Eureka. The Eureka ink.
the Eureka ink.
I am ready to
So
Eureka.
much information is about to happen.
For the records, Santiago's first one was called diplomacy. So, there we go. I think that's fair. Are you ready?
Now I'm ready. Yes.
Okay, you got your pen?
Yeah, Jason
Great.
saved my pen.
All right.
Just like always.
For the four of you, by the way, I'm super stoked that we have all five of us here today, by the way. I
Right.
just want to acknowledge that, which will be great. But for the moment, four of you will take a back seat as we get into the world of Santiago's primary alpha personality, his life beyond the life that is Puppetland at the moment. So, outside of the world of Benji Grimm, there is a man behind Benji Grimm, and that man is Santiago. And he, when we last left him, was dealing with a terse diplomatic situation concerning the fate of Mars. So, Santiago, as you find yourself in the bowl seat with a lighted console in front of you, you type the last few keys of a response in a QE, quantum entanglement, message. Now, as the proximity alert goes off, your seat turns to the front view of your small two-man cruiser cockpit. The asteroid in front of you would probably be spinning at a semi-regular speed, showing the gravity it's generating with its centrifugal force. But since your ship is matching its speed in rotation, it's the background stars that are moving around you, not the huge heaving piece of rock floating in space. Now, as the ship flies into the largest crater of the ship, you think for a moment about how mankind has been diminished to such a dismal square footage. And yet, it still looks better than Earth. At the same time, a very colorful and flamboyant committee is waiting for you as you disembark from the ship. You greet them with a bow and begin to be bombarded by questions.
Am I on the asteroid or am I on Mars?
You
Where am I?
have landed onto the asteroid
Okay.
from your two-man cruiser onto the ship, and as you flew into the asteroid, you had a committee waiting for you as you come out into a surprisingly small space for a hangar. Usually when you think of a hangar, you think of high ceilings, two-tiered balconies looking over various areas. This hangar is no taller than your ship almost, insinuating that very small amounts of ships can actually make it into this central hangar point. The questions come at you rapidly and with not a lot of time in between them. What did they say? What has become of Mars? Any news of Earth? As you beeline yourself directly through the crowd of questioning agents, you essentially, well, where do you wish to head to? Do you wish to report in, or do you wish to go decompress in your own quarters? How would you like to go about the downtime from your mission?
There is no time for downtime. I am going to head to the most efficient place to report my findings.
So Central Command
Yes.
would be. So you head straight forward, leaving the clucking questions of subordinates and other people behind you, as you come straight into the large Central Command area, which seems to have a feeling of the old UN around it. It is a several-tiered amphitheater with believe it or not, an old chalkboard. One would think that with as much technology as around you, with automatic opening doors and so many other things, that they would do more, but
Sometimes the old ways are the best ways.
and there is an abundance of moon rock to be able to make it for chalking as well. So you see the High Commander approach you, meeting you almost halfway as he escorts you back into the smaller table which sits in the middle of the committee. You and your short, bob-cut, black-haired associate. Santiago. Well, I almost am afraid to ask. What happened?
Oh my god.
Much has happened, but not in the way that we had hoped.
Ah.
Yes.
So, were you able to buy us some time?
I was able to buy us some time, yes. As much time as I could afford, but
I don't mean to press, but how much? We're literally operating on days here.
I offered to buy us a few months,
A few months.
at most. Yes.
Well, you may have just saved us, because I'm actually happy to report that the project is moving much faster than we anticipated. In fact, the entire team is prepped and ready to go, and once they're inside of the simulation, we can essentially scale up the processor speed as much as we can in order for days to pass in their time. And, well, as you know, essentially that snap of a finger, exactly. What will be days to us will be minutes. What will be days for them will be minutes to us. And in that time, we can take as much time to prepare them as we can so that we have all of our fail-safes in place. So,
Excellent. Excellent.
good job. I'm happy to hear that. But, what happens, I guess we beg the question, is what do we do until then?
Well, until then, the main thing that I can report, beyond the shadow of a doubt, is that diplomacy is failing. It is no longer working. We have to look at some sort of an alternate to diplomacy. Something else that we can do, because it is not going to work.
What do you recommend?
I think you know what I'm going to recommend.
Right. Strike forces.
Yes.
Okay.
Strike forces.
We, as you know, Earth's military is all but completely expended. In fact, this is essentially all we have left as far as a active front. Now, you know that B-12, which is where the project is being held, has to be protected at all cost, and more importantly, they're getting closer. Their drones are constantly passing amongst orbiting circles that'll intercept B-12. So,
That's not good.
no, of course not. They find that and we're doomed. This is it for us. This is all we have. So, I worry that even with the months that you've bought us, that even if we get our team in as soon as possible, they may only have days left in order to find the solution, and then we have to implement it immediately. In fact, I have to go confirm with the science team, but I think we may have only 2 days in the simulation before your time frame is up.
We will have to pray that months can occur within the simulation during that time.
Well, per our best specs at the moment, the best we can do with the processing speed is that we can do a 1 to 30 ratio, which essentially means that for every month we can have a day pass by in the simulation. I'm sorry, reverse that. For every day here, we can have 30 days in the simulation. Which, to find the answer to death itself, that may be a tall call, 60 days. Well, this is a lot to think on.
I have made a decision as well.
Yeah?
I have decided, High Commander, that perhaps it would be best if I volunteered myself.
No. What? Why would you put yourself in a position where death could be on the line for you? You're far too important out here.
I can do no much more than that. To ask men to lay down their lives, I can do no much more.
That's an atrocity. How?
I
you don't-
have to ensure that everything that I can do while I am alive, that I am doing it.
The bob-cut-haired woman stands next to you and puts her hand on your shoulder, staring at you, and then looking to the commander herself. That is an incredibly noble thing for you to do, but are you sure? There's a chance that you may not come out. In fact, the odds are against you. Even if you succeed, there is a chance that you won't come back.
I turn away from her dramatically. I don't care about nobility. All I care about is doing everything I can in my power to make sure that the experiment is a success.
For a man who literally 5 years ago, I looked at his face and he spat at the name of the human race. You're doing quite a bit now to prove me wrong.
I was obviously misinformed. And now I realize it is our only hope.
Well, you do realize that there's a set protocol around the candidates that are currently in place.
Of course.
And that most of them, well, it's true most of them volunteered for this experiment, but most of them are more prepared for a combat situation, just in case.
I understand.
If you really mean to do this, I'll put in your application.
Please, do it as soon as possible.
Fine. I'm sure you've had a long journey. I'm sure you'd like to rest up, get some food. If your application is approved, I'll have a shuttle issue a transport over to B-12.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, you're dismissed.
Thank you.
Now, as the rippling effect of our world comes out from this moment, we come back to the very internally difficult and self-deprecating Benji Grimm, who is a part of Santiago, just one element of many, as as we float back into the simulation, into the world of Puppetland. And the world around you becomes much more colorful, quilted, and yet still dark, dismal, and unsettling. But you'd be surprised, because as the puppets wake up, they actually hear none other than the sound of beautiful horns punching. And as the puppets wake up in their soft quilted beds, they realize that they are in the great city of Puppet Town, awakening to the sound of horns. Why? In fact, it's a parade today. And as our puppets leave their beds, a large quilted banner hangs between poles in the center of the square, declaring...
respite?
What's that? Oh, you're in Puppet Town.
We're in Puppet Town.
Yes. Though travel is odd in the world of Puppetland, it is to the whims of the storytellers who bring them and these puppets into their world. So, whether one day has passed, a month, days, who knows? But today is Punch Day. In fact, the banner itself says, Happy Punch Day, as the felt-covered folks are running around putting together items for this splendid day. Yes, puppets. You watch as little tiny felt finger puppets and hand puppets are screwing together various light bulbs and writing down the edicts of punch for the day. And you can see brightly colored ribbons, and no fabric is spared in order to make a beautiful colored day for punch. You can see the floats are beginning to line up as they come out, as you, in the distance, can see Punch's parade floats slowly making their way into town.
I have a question. So does that mean that Punch Day is like literally the day after they divorce, like Judy and Punch's divorce day?
That could potentially be construed, yes.
You needed to pick me up.
Yeah, they got a divorce real... Yeah, which came first, you don't know, but yeah.
Was Punch Day the first day, or did Punch declare its Punch Day the day after Judy went and founded Respite? Who knows?
Also, can we do a Brady Bunch thing and just like look at each other? There is a story of a lovely lady.
I'll have to admit that the wearing black on top of black was not the best. Now, there's a spider, but yeah.
Spider and spiders.
This
is the ForeverVerse. ForeverVerse in Puppetland. In fact, music is going through the air as you see a band of finger puppets all playing wonderful music right outside of... Did his top hat fall off? You're fine. As wonderful music plays all across the town square. And you can see, as all of the puppets are hustling and bustling, putting things together, as you see the mayor of Puppet Town, Mayor McTuffinhat,
Aww!
who is running around yelling out orders to all of the different villagers. Ooh, quickly, Toodlyton, make sure to hang those streamers higher. Oh, and Fluffly Bits, make sure that you lay all of the cotton balls down.
Oh my God, is that my daughter as well? Fluffly Bits?
That's a Fluffly. You're Fluffly Bows.
I'm Fluffly Bows.
Yes.
Maybe I had another.
Fluffly Bits is maybe your cousin.
Oh, probably.
I heard of Benny.
Oh my God.
Fluffly Bits.
Oh,
What,
no.
do I get a little contraption? Oh wow. I don't know if it's gonna...
I don't think that's tall enough.
You raise it.
Nope. Gonna go
Oh my God, that looks so fucking dangerous. that other side of it looks like it's gonna...
It's perfectly fine.
A stave.
Are we looking for vampires?
Here we
What's
go.
happening there?
It's as tall as it gets. Let's see if this works. Just don't put your eye on it.
Wow.
Looking for vampires, you're in trouble, man.
Still not tall enough, I don't think.
Romany, go and hang those marionettes.
Angle.
Make them as tall as they can be, and make sure those dancers' strings are completely run about. Oh, speaking of dancers, you watch as Mayor McTuffin hat runs up to you, dancer, and goes, "My dear, are you ready? Are you ready to bring all of your dancers to bear when Punch comes through town?"
Yes, of course. Why wouldn't I be?
Of course, we want to make sure that all puppets greet Punch with Happy Punch Day, lest, of course, we get chomped and bitten and smashed by his nutcrackers.
Oh, now that would be unfortunate.
Oh, crawl as you can. I can see you've made it to town as well, too. It's so good to see you amongst
Good to
us.
see you as well, Mr. Man.
How can you help us bring together Punch's parade today?
Well, what needs doing? Let's see what I might be able to assist you with.
Well, excellent. All hands on, all puppets on deck, as they say. We don't want to disappoint Punch.
That could definitely end poorly.
As you stare at Mayor McTuffin's hat, you can see that he is very boisterous and he is very excited, and he has this air of command that a mayor would do to him. But as with any puppet in Puppet Town, he also seems incredibly nervous and edgy to the point of where he seems like he could snap at any moment.
Mr. Mayor, I have something for you.
Oh.
They may help with your anxiety. Take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
As you hand the peppermint candies. Oh, look, as the peppermint candies are handed over to Mayor McTuffin's hat, he takes one and stares at it until it dissolves into nothing, taking the other one and putting it into his pocket for later. Oh, thank you, Dr. Faust. I can always depend on you to make sure that, well, better living through chemistry.
Yes, good idea. Save the other one for later.
Now, if you don't mind, I would prefer that you maybe sit in the back of the parade, as I'm sure that we don't
What?
want. Well,
Why?
I'm sure, Dr. Faust, you do, and you watch as Mayor McStuffin Hat puts his hand on Dr. Faust, he leads him away from the group ever so briefly, taking him to one of the quieter corners of Puppet Town while his friends continue to put together items around the parade. Dr. Faust, well, your obsession with putting together puppets, we all know it's something that you've desired as part of your maker, but Punch is quite a jealous man, you see. And I don't know if that kind of behavior would make Punch very happy. And this is a day about making Punch happy.
Very well, for your sake, I will sit in the back. But I won't forget this.
I do appreciate it, Dr. Faust. Oh, and you know that if it was any other day... Oh, all right then. Thank you.
Storms off.
As Dr. Faust storms off amongst the citizens of Puppet Town who are running willy-nilly as he crosses paths in between them, Mayor McTuffins comes back to the rest of the group. Oh, Dancer, thank you. And Benji, if you wouldn't mind, there are some more poles that need to be held up, and I'm sure that with your great girthy arms, you would be able to hold them in place. Would you mind?
Yeah, Benji.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What was that? Mayor McTuffin hat? Asks Benji.
Well, you gotta go hold some poles. We all heard that.
Yes, well... I don't mean to offend, Benji, but, well, your big strong arms are perfect for putting in Mayfair poles.
Sure, I can try my hardest, said Benji, even though he was thinking to himself, I can't throw things or grab things because I have no arms and legs other than these little squaggly things, but I'll give it my best shot because that's what being a good puppet is all about. Also, I'm scared of Punch. Did I just say that out loud just now? Stop, Benji.
You hear as other puppets start turning their heads and looking towards all that is what Benji is around in. Oh my, if Benji wasn't saying what is on every other puppet's mind in the moment, but they wouldn't say it out loud, especially not on Punch Day.
Well, I believe what he's trying to say is he's scared of displeasing Punch. You know, he's ever so eager to make sure that Mr. Punch is happy, and his inability to do what you are asking might cause problems in that regard, and that is what he is afraid of.
As Crawl As You Can tends over the situation around all of the nervous puppets, Crawl As You Can's words soothe all of the puppets around Puppet, including Mayor McTuffins, as he goes, yes, of course, and, well, thank you. Oh, I'm just so nervous. He's going to be here any minute. Everything has to be perfect.
Take another pill.
As Mayor McTuffins continues to wander around, out of sight and out of mind from the puppets around, the actor puppets are left with, well, either their duties that Mayor McTuffins has brought to pound them, or their own devices.
I'm going to level with you all, says Dancer. I'm not actually a very good dancer. You see, no, this isn't just me being modest. It's the worst. I'm very slow and large and stocky, and this is just what my mother wanted for me, and it's never really come up till now, and I suppose I can't blame Punch for not liking our performance before, and what with me being not a very good dancer and all, and I don't want to leverage everybody down now.
Wait, you didn't say what you actually wanted to be in your life. You just said what you didn't want to be. What's your real life goal?
I want to do what Benji does.
You want to be strong and lift things?
I mean, I'm really very good at it. Really very, very good at it. Watch. And she picks up the bench that she's sitting on, that Fluffy Bose is sitting on.
The
with
bench?
Fluffy Bose.
Just like a good guy. The
She picks up the good bench that Fluffy Bose is sitting on. Well, Fluffy Bose is sitting on it.
Wow, and I could stand to lose a few cotton balls.
As Dancer shows her giant feat of strength that one wouldn't expect from such a graceful marionette lass as she is, you hear as a voice from the alley of a nearby building pierces the ongoing tussle of people around.
Hey, you, Dancer, and the rest of y'all, get over here.
Eek, eek, follow me.
Eek, 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 eek. You watch as the little tiny piece of felt
Scrap
comes
baby.
around you, scrappy pieces of felt.
Dancer.
Scrap baby.
So,
You watch as you see a dark and ominous looking finger puppet cloaked all in a hood and shadow with just one giant mustache, handlebar mustache, dangling down from either ends of his face, completely covered with the cloak.
If you're trying to sell us drugs, I've got that part covered.
No.
Well, if you're attempting to be a shadow, you need to work a little harder.
And if you're attempting to be my daughter, well, that's covered too.
No, well, I'm not your daughter. I'm not a shadow, and I'm not trying to sell you drugs. Look, hey, I can tell you all don't buy this Punch Day as much as any of the rest of the puppets.
You want to get us in trouble? You shut the fuck up.
Hey, Fluffy Bose, get back here. Don't yell so loud. I'm just trying to help. Now, look, first of all, I gotta say, Dancer, I seen you perform, girl, and you got a thing. You got a great thing going.
And you watch as he lifts the hood up a little bit, and you can see a very Italian and yet beautiful looking finger puppet who is dressed like a ringmaster at a circus parade.
Oh my god.
And you recognize him as Guggenol of the Finger Puppet Theater. In fact, he is the man who leads the Finger Puppet Theater.
I seen you do great things. And if you weren't a finger puppet, and if you were a finger puppet, I'd bring you right into my fold under the Guggenol Theater. But unfortunately, you got strings on you, so that cuts that out. But Punch don't know talent, and he won't ever know talent because he is a bad puppet.
And he says this is as low as he possibly can.
Okay. Oh, jeez.
That is a bold claim you're making there, sir. One that we might find interest in discussing further.
Now, don't tell me that you ain't thought of it either, Shadow, because we all know it, and no one has ever taken the opportunity to do something about it.
Are you kidding? We just killed the Nutcrackers. We did something.
I know, which is why I'm talking to y'alls. I heard all about you cracking the Nutcrackers trying to get those button eyes back.
Oh, word's getting out, everybody.
No, wait.
Hey.
Who would they know did this? Is it specific, or is it just that the thing happened?
I got friends in Respite, all right, and I hear all the good things that are going against Punch, and I choose to listen to what I want to hear, and things that Punch don't need be hearing about don't get moved along. So hey, there ain't a lot of time. So I'm just gonna tell you this Punch is coming through town, and I got a couple of my finger puppets in place to try to do something, because we hear that Punch has acquired something that could ruin Puppetland forever.
What's that? Asks Benji.
We don't know. All I know
Benny.
from my words, or from my sources, is that he's got something dangerous. Dangerous and deadly to puppets.
Dangerous like scissors? Asks Dancer.
Bigger and worse than scissors.
Dangerous like acid? Asks Benji.
Better and even worse than acid.
Dangerous like fire? Asked Mrs. Fluffily Bows.
I hope he doesn't have fire. That would be... Well, no, that would be very Punch-like. And Punch has been using fire for a long time. He's the only one who wields it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Sadly, if it was only as bad as fire, well, we wouldn't be fine. But even Punch wouldn't be so crazy as to light all of Puppetland on fire.
Worse than fire? My good man, what is it he has?
I don't know, but that's why I need your help to make sure that he doesn't own it anymore.
You watch as Guggenal says, continuing to put his hood back over his face as he creeps back into the shadows.
Well, wait. What can we do to help?
You the heroes, not me.
You just said your finger puppets were in place. Where are they? Do you have a plan that you could give to us to tell us what's going on?
As Guggenal turns the corner around the outside of the alley, he leaves you with a final set of words. You'll know when we're around, and we'll give the signal. Then, that's when you do your hero business, actors. You're all great actors in the great play that is life, and Puppetland is our stage. Now play your parts. As he disappears out of sight and leaving you in the dark shadows of the twilight hour of Puppetland's.
How can I play my part if I don't have a script?
Well, the good news is I don't think, Dancer, that you're being recruited, which is what I initially thought.
Oh, thank God.
Well, that was quite nebulous indeed. I suppose we just have to keep aware and keep on our toes and be ready for whatever opportunity presents itself.
Boy, I got a bad feeling about this, said Benji, referencing Star Wars.
Is Star Wars?
And what a reference it was. In fact, it was so poignant and cross and inspirational to everybody that you all, the puppets, looked at each other at their sideways glance as you can hear the first parade float of Punch's parade coming through town.
Oh no, he's here.
I didn't do any of those circus poles or whatever I was supposed to do, said Benji. I gotta get out of here. And he rushes off to go do whatever menial task was asked of him by Mayor McTuffin Hat.
And Beatrix Von Fluffily Bows does follow him to put ribbons on top of the maypole because her job is clearly putting ribbons on things.
And Dr. Faust waits in the back. And just waits. And looks and waits more.
As a beautiful Mayfair pole is erected between both Benji Grimm and Fluffly Bows, it is a mighty Mayfair pole, not deserving of Punch's terrible demeanor and attitude.
Beatrix Von Fluffily Bows feels regret that her maypole's so good, but she can't do anything less than perfect.
And Fluffly Bows if she can do one thing, she can make perfect ribbons for a Mayfair pole.
All she needs is her hourly dose of peppermint.
And as the puppets watch the ribbons cascade down through the various parts of the Mayfair poles, They watch as tiny little felt creatures
Yes!
start grabbing a hold of the ribbons.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Is one of them Eek? Is that what they look like?
No, but this is very similar to what Eek would be. In fact, Eek joins the tiny felties
Oh my God! Ivan, where did you get those?
as they run around in various circles, putting together and tying the maypole into a beautiful, colored pole.
Ivan? Who's Ivan?
Oh yeah, sorry, I
Miss
forgot
Fluffy
that
Bows? Miss Fluffy Bows? Asks Benji.
Sorry, I forgot that everything I say, I actually say.
Are you okay? Miss Fluffy Bows?
Sorry, I just took a peppermint pill, and you know how those things are. I've had quite a few.
I'm trying out a new formula.
Have a care. We need you to watch your constitution now.
That's right.
As you watch as the 4 felty creatures finish the maypole, they come to you in a single group and look up, following Eek over to where Fluffly Bows is, and they stare up at you. And you notice that there's something interesting about the leader of the felty gang.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there is.
Look how cute you guys are. Oh, he's happy.
You can see behind the beautiful smiles that the smiles have been sewn onto their face. And the original mark of the felty puppet that was made was actually a very slim line. And the sparkle that is in all felties' eyes has been replaced by single cross stitches as they look at you with their cross-stitched eyes and run off.
No, come back! No, wait, where's Eek?
Well, that wasn't creepy at all.
No, is Eek here? Is Eek here?
Eek starts running around Fluffly Bows, going eek, 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 eek.
Go get them! My babies! My new babies! Oh no! Oh, those poor things!
Is Fluffly Bows sending Eek out to go chase down the Felt Gang?
Yes. Yes, Eek, bring them back to me! They're your brothers and sisters! I know this, they're mine!
As Eek runs off, going eek, 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 leading off towards the Felty gangs, you see as the first float of punches comes into view. In fact, it is a giant felt punch.
Oh, that stupid piece of garbage.
Oh, I would caution you to watch your the way you speak now.
You're gonna get us all destroyed, Beatrice Fluffly Bows.
Well, it's the peppermint!
In fact, as the actor puppets chide Fluffly Bows for her very not happy punch
Get your
words,
shit together, Beatrice.
okay, sorry. I love you, bye!
She
Dr. Faust,
sees
do so.
she sees a shadow, a dark shadow, pass over the twilight sky of Puppetland, and she hears. And more than hears, all the puppets can feel the great presence of grief
No!
floating around the air. In fact, they can hear his haunting wail as he continues to float around. And more importantly, they see the wayward form of Haunt, who continues to make circles around the great town of Puppetland. In fact, as you're speaking, as Beatrix Fluffy Bows speaks her very audacious crimes against Punch into her face, she can feel the gaze of Haunt bearing down on side of her to the point of she can see his head turn her direction ever so slowly as he passes over the horizon and the great jeweled moon of Puppetland.
Now, Qualisha Can sits there and thinks, I don't recall what these creatures were. I wonder if there was some way I could find out.
If Qualisha could remember about all the boys, and particularly Haunt, he would know that Haunt is probably the biggest to fear at the moment, than being in the midst of Puppet Town, because Haunt and grief go together like brother and sister in a game of hide and seek. Haunt circles and goes around areas of Puppetland, constantly feeling for people who hate Punch. and zero in on them as he continues to make circles around them, tighter and tighter and tighter, until grief can find the offending punch hater.
Well, now, Mr. Von Fuffly-Boos, I recommend that you conceal your feelings and think warmer thoughts towards our would-be commander, else you find yourself in a bit of a pickle.
That's right. Think about your baby Geek.
Oh, loud and clear, you guys. I'm so sorry. Yep, here I go.
We'll do it like this. Punch can't be all bad. He is throwing this wonderful parade.
You know what would really help Fluffly-Bows get himself back in favor of Haunt at the moment is to repeat the edicts of Punch in her head over and over again until she's convinced of it herself.
Why, you remember those?
Yes.
The first one was always be happy, which Fluffly-Bows is actually very good at.
Yeah, always be happy. I remember that.
The second edict of Punch is always greet puppets with Happy Punch Day.
Always greet puppets with Happy Punch Day.
That's right, let's practice it.
Happy Punch Day.
Happy Punch Day.
Happy Punch Day.
So wait. Are you saying every day is Punch Day?
Every day is Punch Day.
Good.
What?
That is a wonderful thing, Dr. Fact. Do keep your thoughts in the proper form.
Happy Punch Day, Doc. Happy Punch Day, Doc.
Happy Punch Day.
Jeez.
Happy Punch Day.
Everybody Happy Punch Day.
And the final edict of Punch is all puppets must dance.
All puppets must dance.
In the eyes of Punch, all puppets are happy enough to dance when they see Punch.
Yeah, that's
Well, as soon as we lay eyes upon him, or more importantly, as soon as he lays eyes upon us, we should shake a step.
Yes, I agree.
So, as you can see, Haunt continue to circle as the puppets continue to watch Haunt float around the circle of Puppet Town. His wayward stare at one point constantly upon Fluffly-Bows. He being Haunt, the most mischievous of Punch's boys, look around and slowly turns his head away from the actor puppets in the midst of the Puppetland square.
Perhaps we should relocate.
Oh yeah, maybe. I just hope maybe we should go find and see what Geek's after.
Well, we do need to stay on hand in case
Oh, that's true.
the event that we were warned about comes into play.
Now, as Punch's first parade float comes into view, you can see the magnificent, tall, felt, perfect edifice of Punch himself, who, in a very stiff motion, is waving towards all of the puppets, and you see as small bits of cloth are dangling off of parts of his arm as if it had been waving for a very, very long time. And in that, you can see the small strings being pulled by various hand puppets who are following closely behind it and seem to be quite tired of pulling strings over and over again. But they don't stop because Punch needs to wave to his people. Mm-hmm. So what are the puppets to do? Are they going to continue to watch the parade and see what comes about? Will they follow Eek into the Felt Gang's unknown?
What did you call them?
The
They're
Felt
not
Gang.
nice.
The Felt Gang. The Felt Crew.
All right, well that makes them sound real bad.
They are
Beatrice
bad,
von
Beatrice.
Fluffly-Bows said.
Something's awfully wrong with them. There is something.
Well, there was something wrong
Off.
with Eek, and we took her in, and she's now like the best daughter I ever had.
Well, that is true, but Eek was underneath your menstruations, whereas the Felt Gang, who now have you,
Yeah, your menstruations.
are not.
I thought I heard that.
Did I say that incorrectly?
Means what you think it means.
Now you know what I meant to say. Do not. Ministrations. Ministrations.
Mini menstruations. You had them under there, says Benji.
That's all right, Crawl as you can,
There's a
because
doctor,
both
right?
the narrator
Different.
and both you and the narrator are very good at mixing up words that they mean they say, but say instead. See?
Class, crawl as you can.
Oh, crawl as you
See?
can. That's a funny joke. All about women's periods.
Just then, Benji thinks to himself, I wonder if Punch is going to be at the end of this parade. And then decides, I'm going to ask my friends that question. Hey, gang, is Punch going to be here at this parade?
Why, that's a very good
Seems that
question.
way.
Well, I would imagine, seeing as how Haunt and Grief are here, it is quite a chance that he is going to make an appearance.
Jeez.
You know, Beatrix von Fluffleybow's posits, the finger puppets might be in line to do something, but since we are the heroes, we could get things started early and go after Haunter. Great.
No, I don't think that's a good idea at all, Beatrix, because we gotta wait for the signal, they said.
What exactly
Yes,
would you
I
propose?
agree. We
Catch
should
it.
wait. We should wait.
Yes, Scrolls, your kind questions. What exactly would you suppose we should do in advance of the action?
Well, here's the thing. We took down one of Punch's boys.
Yes, that was, as I understand, a nutcracker. A much more corporeal opponent than Haunt.
No, didn't we?
No, you were not there.
You were not.
took down
Unfortunately,
one of the
Crawl As
boys.
You Can wasn't available at the time in which all of the actor puppets actually took down Spite by crushing him with a giant boulder as he let scatter the stolen buttons.
In any case, it was real tough to do that, says Benji. In fact, we barely made it out of there alive, and that was only one of Punch's kids. Now there's two of them flying
Yes,
around.
we're in a public area.
That's
Much
true.
more
I
difficult.
feel that we could use the help of some of these other finger fellows.
Not to mention, College says, that taking out one when we could actually strike the serpent at its head in the form of causing Punch some operational difficulties may not be the best of choices.
Now, Dancer, more than all the other actor puppets, is actually very familiar with Guggenol and his gang of actors and thespians of the Finger Puppet Theater. And she is able to tell the group that there is a large amount of finger puppets that make up the Guggenol Theater. And they've always had a place for Punch at his seat, which is in the puppet in the Finger Puppet Theater, but they know that Punch has never, ever, ever arrived to a performance. And if there's one thing that a finger puppet actor hates more, is when an audience doesn't show up. So the Guggenol finger puppets have good reason to try to do something against someone as nasty and mean and tardy as Punch, but at the same time, what are they to do? I mean, they're finger puppets. It's not like they have arms that can lift and push and pull. Sorry, Benji.
It's true, says Benji. We're good at dodging things, even if we only see them coming at us at the last second, but we're very quick and we're very low to the ground, but we usually don't have arms or legs and we can't really do nothing else. So what can finger puppets do?
Well, I have faith that they'll be able to do something. Why, Benji, didn't you yourself take out a nutcracker almost by yourself?
I think so, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Hey, yeah, I did.
That's right, and just imagine what a whole army of finger puppets can do.
It is quite important that you do not underestimate yourself, College says, especially in light of your achievements that I am just now becoming aware of.
Thank you so much, my puppet friends. But also, and I don't mean this to be braggadocious, but not every finger puppet looks like me. Because I'm ugly. I'm a monster.
Oh, wait, Benji!
I'm a fucking monster.
No, we were getting somewhere.
As Benji sobs into his strongman outfit, leaning onto his puppet friends, who are there for his love and emotional support, the second parade of Punch, the second parade float of Punch comes into view. And oh, what an interesting float that it is. In fact, they can see that it's not much of a float, more a pile of sticks with a pole that seems to be jutting straight up from the pile of various pieces of wood. In fact, most of the wood looks like the various pole and strings that you would use to make marionettes out of.
I
Very
have
suspicious.
a kind of horrible feeling about what that might be.
What does this float represent, wonders Benji?
Which is a good question, because as you move forward, you see that there is the third float. In fact, it's a tall, majestic float, almost shadowing the tinier float that's in front of it. There's a 3-tiered stage with a giant, beautiful throne sitting on top of it, and various puppets all singing and dancing all around the third tier.
Oh, then it's probably Punch, you guys. We should start dancing. Beatrix von Fluffleybow's
Right,
excitedly
right.
yells.
What an excellent idea, says Klaus again as he begins to book and boogie.
As the actor puppets begin to dance, they notice that the third tier of the beautiful and gorgeous and luscious the float actually has a small curtain that is covering up the chair that is so abundantly bolden beside it. And as the various floats get closer and closer, they notice that it is slowly coming to a stop. And who is pulling the float other than Nestor Hayseed?
Nestor!
Nestor! Nestor!
Hi, Nestor Hayseed. Happy Punch Day, Nestor Hayseed.
Happy Punch Day.
Happy Punch Day!
Happy Punch Day, Benji. He says as he morosely continues to pull Punch's float through the world, through the city of Puppetland, Puppet Town. So many puppet words. As he continues to move through, you watch as the float slowly comes to a stop.
Oh, dance, dance, dance.
Dance, 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 puppets dancing everywhere. And
The plungers dance.
a hushed quiet comes across all of Puppetland as the float stays solid, silent. And all the movement you can see is the occasional passing of Haunt as he circles around the town, passing like an orbiting satellite every once in a while. And then you watch as a curtain slowly opens.
Oh no. Oh. Holy what? Oh! Oh my god.
Puppets! Thank you, and happy Punch Day!
Happy Punch Day!
Happy Punch Day.
I'm so
It's looking at me.
happy that you've come to celebrate me. Now, I know most of you to be
Oh my gosh.
a good puppet, one that respects the edicts of Punch. But I am here to tell you that some of you don't think otherwise. Haunt! You watch as Haunt, circling to and fro, comes down, swooping like a raven onto Punch's float, carrying with him a small member of the Felt Gang that you saw earlier. As Punch grabs the Felt creature in his hand, he goes, "These creatures have been loyal Punch subjects, even building this magnificent float in my image," as he references the first float that is in the area. But they have done worse than what I expected of them. Do you see what is wrong with my float? As he motions over, and you can see that he is taking his hands. Punch is shaking wildly the little felty creature as he looks towards the fraying, fallen pieces of the waving hand of Punch. Felt is built to last! And he throws the felty creature down onto the ground before picking it back up again. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
You received a felt puppet.
Do you see? It is wonderful, but my arms! Do you see? He shouts at everyone as they continue to dance and look, and occasionally you hear a puppet go, "Yes, yes, we see." Punch is immortal! He doesn't fall apart! As he looks down into the innocent little creature in front of him. as it continues to shiver and shake, and you watch as little piece of its threadbare self that holds the two pieces together is now being rubbed in course between Punch's papier-mâché hands. Now, I'm willing to make amends, but only because you, my loyal subjects, are here for me. So, let us celebrate the efforts of our filthy friends. As everyone cheers and yells and yay.
What a wonderful idea. What a wonderful
Let us
idea.
celebrate.
Put him down.
They're great! As he throws it up in the air over and over again, catching him to and fro every once in a while. Because I have something better to show you today. As he puts the felty down in front of Haunt and takes his mask. I'm going to put this down. Yeah.
That's a human flesh mask.
There.
It's a maker's
And you can
mask.
feel for a moment that the world is. Everyone takes a sigh of relief as when Punch takes his mask off, he does not have the power of the Maker, for it is made of his skin.
Yeah.
The Maker's mask is. But it also doesn't fit well on Punch's face, as over the years, the skin has slowly become sallow and has bent and molded outside of Punch's face. I have found something greater than that of the Maker, something that is even beyond creation. And you watch as Punch turns and lifts up a small velvety curtain of what you noticed was a box that was laid out next to him the entire time. And he pulls the curtain to reveal, oh, what is that? Well, that is something interesting. It seems to be a cube. It's a multicolored cube. In fact, it is a cube that, oh my, it seems to be as big as a jack-in-the-box. It's so big that Punch can barely hold on to it with two hands. But he doesn't grab the cube. He grabs the glass top that is currently covering it as he lifts it and places it down next to him, picking up the little felty creature in his hand yet again, and goes, "Behold!" As he throws the felty creature into the cube, you watch as its body is slowly disseminated and crackles and pixelates into nothing, as it makes a tiny squeaking sound as it moves through the process of becoming nothing. Punch puts the glass back on top of it before taking the mask and placing it back onto his face again. See? Now, not only am I the Maker, but I am the Destroyer! Let us celebrate the creation and destruction and glory that is Punch! Yeah, yeah! As he snaps his hands, you watch as Nestor Hayseed begins to pull the float into motion as it wanders through the rest of Puppetland, Puppet Town. As Punch's float continues to move forward, you see a set of figures leap out into the air.
Fingers?
In fact, figures, tiny little figures.
This is it.
In fact, it's hard to tell because the twilight dusk is so rich, but they seem to be a bunch of little shadowed finger puppets, lacing up in front of each one of it, making a tiny pyramid. In fact, it is a tumbler's pyramid made up entirely of finger puppets. And on the top of the third tier is a cloaked shadow with a giant mustache coming down and a hand lifting up into the air, one tiny little finger puppet hand, as it points forward and the three-tiered pyramid falls and falls. And the finger puppet tower being as high as it is, and Tumbler's pyramid being 8 to 9 finger puppets tall, by the way.
Wow.
So, and you finger puppets may be small, but when you stack 9 of them on top of each other, it can get as tall as Punch's float. As it tumbles forward in a great tower, it leans towards Punch's face as he stares up in dismay and shock as the puppet on top leaps and clashes on top of Punch's face, bringing him down into his float.
We've got to get that box!
Well, if there's something we're going to do, now would be the time.
Yes, we've got to save the Felties!
It's clobbering time.
Hang on, Benji! And Dancer goes over, grabs him, and throws him over to the float!
Yeah.
Jeez.
As Benji Grimm flies through the air with the greatest of ease, he is the orangest strongman on the flying trapeze. As he strikes down onto the float in front, his tiny finger puppet form lands next to a bunch of other finger puppets who are scattering and moving around, leaning up to try to rush Haunt, who is currently trying to lift up into the air, but has several finger puppets holding on to him.
Is Grief anywhere to be seen?
Grief is nowhere to be seen, but one would think that where Haunt is, Grief is not far away.
Right.
In fact, the puppets can start to hear the sounds of nutcrackers coming from various parts of Puppet
Oh
Town.
no!
As puppets begin to shout and scream and run around in the chaos of the Guggenall assault.
Yeah. Well, Beatrix von Fluffy Bows whistles real loud and says, Felties, hurry, to me, my children, my new babies. Eek, get them over here.
As Fluffy Bows yells out into the chaos and run around, she hears the sound of Eek, 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 eek. But, where is he? He doesn't seem to be getting closer. In fact, the puppets are running around so much, Eek Eek's probably having a really hard time getting to Fluffy Bows right now.
Oh no.
She could go and find him for sure if she wanted to, but probably...
Do the Felties respond to her at all?
Without knowing what the Felty gang would say, there is a hard time to tell if Fluffy Bows could tell what sound that they would make. In fact, Fluffy Bows had never heard the sound that the Felt gang had made before. So if she could determine a call, well, she would be a pretty astute puppet. Indeed.
Okay. Well, then she follows, behind Benji.
So as Fluffy Bows is running up to the tower pillar leading to where Benji is, as Benji is shaking off the throes of being throwed, what are the other puppets to do?
I believe we should all follow then, if that's going to be the case. College Cat is going to shoot up towards the tower
third tier?
as well. Yes.
The third tier of Punch's float.
Yes, and I'm going to turn so I'm invisible, so that no one sees that I'm there.
As the actor puppets get closer to the Punch's float, they notice that nutcrackers are starting to form around it, making it very hard for the puppets to rush the stage, minus Benji Grimm, who was thrown above them. Now, crawl as you can, facing the nutcrackers directly, don't seem to notice him at the moment.
I will slip through and begin crawling up the float.
Benji looks around to try to get his bearings, and he's trying to clarify. Wait, I'm on the third tier with the throne on the third float, and the stage is on the first tier?
The
One is
stage,
Benji?
the stage that the Guggenall finger puppets had formed, 9 or 10 finger puppets tall, was actually right in front of the third float, in between the second and third. So, they formed their own little tumbler's pyramid, and then leaned themselves forwards, going over top of the nutcrackers, and landing both Guggenall and yourself, splashing like a river upon the third float, which held Punch. And you can see as Punch is thrashing to and fro, attempting to grab Guggenal, who, in his quick darting motion, being the finger puppet that he is having a hard time getting his hands on him.
We don't have a strategy. I know I can't. Beatrix von Flufflybows cannot see Crawl as you can, but she hopes that he hears. Hopefully, Crawl as you can sneak his mask away from him.
I will cut you and burn you and slash you, you upset Punch! As he attempts to grab Guggenal time and time again. You're a terrible mummer! Stupid rude!
Oh, rude!
Guggenal, very offended by the slighted terms that Punch would throw against him, continues his bouncing motion as much as he can. As you can hear him,
heroes, get up here, do something.
Am I there yet? Just wonders how close he is to the top of the...
Crawl as you can has managed to sneak by the 3 nutcrackers who are guarding the front of the parade, but if any of those other nutcrackers turning around the side of the stage are to see him, well, he's going to be spotted pretty quickly.
Dr. Faust rushes the stage under the guise of he is going to attend Punch's wounds. Out of the way, I'm a doctor!
You watch as the nutcrackers, as Faust, the doctor, rushes towards the front of the stage, you watch, Faust watches as a nutcracker puts one of its stiff arms up, blocking the path of Faust in front of him as it turns its nutcrackery head towards Dr. Faust.
I must get through. I am to help Punch. I am his doctor. Do you not recognize me?
You watch as Dr. Faust looks at the nutcracker. He looks up and down to his doctor's robes and looks back towards Punch and goes,
Punch is not hurt. Punch is fine. He will eat that finger puppet and chew him and spit his little body out. As Punch's personal physician, I will decide whether he is all right or not. You must let me through.
Punch! Punch! What is it, you stupid nutcracker? What is it? Don't you see I'm busy? As he's clapping his hands over and over again.
Doctor here wants to see you.
I don't need a doctor. I need one of you numbskulls to come up here and catch this thing. You hear as the nutcracker starts to turn around as he's climbing up the float now, leaving the other 2 right next, as thankfully he is the one that was most directly in front of Crawl As You Can.
Quite wonderful. Crawl As You Can is going to continue to climb up the float.
All right, so are you going to match pace? Oh, I should probably ask, Crawl As You Can, are you going to match pace with that nutcracker? Because at any time, if you turn your body away from him, you're going to be seen.
Oh, I am exactly going to match pace with that nutcracker and crawl around and make certain that if I were to be seen, I could lie down and appear as his own shadow.
Nice.
And what an interesting shadow that would be, being a 8-legged spider that would actually act as Punch's shadow.
Well, I could conceal myself by throwing my arm like this and then laying down.
The other 2 nutcrackers currently in front of Faust look at you as the other nutcracker stepping him goes,
Wait, Punch will be with you shortly. Please wait.
Benji and Flufflybows. There's so many more things going on at the moment because as Guggenal is jumping around, there seems to still be the general chaos and anarchy of Punch's Great Parade of the Float. And oh man, Punch would be pretty sad to see that his parade is not going the way that he was hoping it to be.
It's okay. He can deal with it. Well, do you want to go? Oh, what?
What's that, Beatrice?
Oh, shit.
I don't know how close we are to each other.
Well, our Beatrix von Flufflybows is probably whatever. There's two accessible nutcrackers, right?
There is more than 2 nutcrackers sitting around Punch's float. In fact, at this point, it would be very hard for a puppet to rush the float with this many nutcrackers around. Dr. Faust managed to certainly get to turn one away from it at the moment, but that would leave 5 other nutcrackers.
Well, Von Fluffly-Bows has had just about enough of her felt babies attacked, and while they may not be her babies yet, or they may not know it, she's out for blood. She's a mama bear at this point, so she goes up to the first nutcracker that she can find, takes one big hold of the nutcracking back, the
crack
the
back,
lever,
the click back?
yeah, the cracker, and rips it out.
So as Fluffy-Bows reaches around the back of one of the nutcrackers, who, turning around, is going, "Hey, get back here! Get back here! Get back here!" Fluffy-Bows grabs the lever and pulls with all of her might, pulling the lever off, leaving the nutcracker with its mouth permanently opened.
Yeah.
Oh, as he continues to spin around to and fro. Punch is continuing to clap to try to find Guggenol as much as he possibly can. And as Guggenol jumps from tier to tier to tier, from shoulder to Punch's shoulder, thoroughly distracted by such a tiny little finger puppet. What are the puppets to do? There's so much going on.
Behind him.
Benji wonders to himself while he's having a daydream of facing the great and terrible Punch. Did I get thrown far enough by Dancer to be Neil Punch? Or is there a bunch of nutcrackers in front of me? I don't know, wonders Benji.
That's a great question, Benji. As looking around, he would notice that he, in Dancer's desperate throw, is not very far away, and there are no nutcrackers around. In fact, if a finger puppet was particularly quiet and very sneaky, he could probably go and get Punch's ultimate weapon.
Closer.
In order to, probably get Punch's ultimate weapon without being seen, since Punch is so distracted at this stage. Or he could try to get Punch himself.
Benji starts hoping and praying to himself that he gets close enough to Punch to tell him Happy Punch Day as he punches him in the face. And then when he turns around and sees the great and terrible Punch, and he gets a closer look, holy shit, you're ugly. And he freezes in despair.
What are you doing? Punch, distracted, not looking at Guggenol anymore, lifts Benji.
How close as close as you can, he wonders, to the situation that's going on.
If a shadow puppet were to run with all of his might, he could potentially make it up to the 3rd tier in time to save Benji. Because at this point, Guggenol has dropped down, noticing that that Benji has now taken all of the attention away from him.
What about the doctor?
Krajikan is running as fast as he can.
The Dr. Faust, still at the basement of the tier at the moment, has managed to distract one of the nutcrackers, who at this point is slowly still making his way up to Punch's tower, but still has 2 of them standing in front of him. He could walk through the gap at the moment, but he would have to be pretty quick to potentially not have one of the finger puppets or one of the nutcrackers grab him along the way.
When I was in medical school, I ran on the track team. I go through the gap.
Krajikan thinks it's unfortunate that I'm facing the wrong way for the proceedings.
Crawl as you can is nearly invisible at this point, as Punch has a desperate hold on Benji as he lifts him up.
Where is the cube?
As all of
Get revenge for your baby!
No one tosses a Fluffy-Bows except Dancer.
As Fluffy-Bows flies through the air, it is hard because a hand puppet is much lighter than any other kind of puppet, like a finger puppet. And lighter would mean that she actually would land because onto the great pillar of wood that is actually in front of Punch's 3rd tier pillar at the moment.
Oh, look who's here.
Punch lifts Benji up and turns to go towards the cube. Here, I'll grab Benji. Lifting it towards cube in order to finally realize the cube is gone. Guggenol is running down the 3rd tier of Punch's parade float and is attempting to run down, passing almost right by Dr. Faust as he is running up, holding the great glass cube, holding it at the moment.
Dr. Faust attempts to grab the cube.
Dr. Faust, in a desperate grab, grabs not only the tiny glass case holding the cube, which was balanced on top of Guggenol's head, by the way, in a doot moment, but picks up Guggenol himself as well too, as he picks up both the finger puppet and the cube as they are all standing on top of each other.
Where do you think you're going with that cube?
Toss them both here, Doctor!
I use my track team's strength when I was doing the shot put, and I throw the cube to Dancer and Guggenheim.
And Guggenheim goes, well, that works too! As he flies through the air, all of them tumbling. But as it tumbles through the air, the cube and the glass top separate.
Oh boy.
As the cube spirals in and out and in and out, and is Dancer going to catch the cube?
You have to catch it. You can't. There's one side of it that's really dangerous, and that's all.
Do not catch that side. It'd be quite unfortunate.
Dancer does her best, but she actually does not have the ability to dodge anything thrown at her.
So Dancer, being a marionette and unable to dodge things that are thrown at her, watches as the cube wham right into her little paper mache face. Please remove a puzzle cube from your character sheet when you get back into it, but is knocked onto the floor, her strings tangled in a mess as Guggenol and the rest hold on to it.
Crawl As You Can is wondering, how much does that mask weigh? Is it weigh a lot more than Crawl As You Can? Because he can't lift anything that weighs more than he does.
It's skin, so that's an interesting question, Crawl As You Can.
Because he's not regular paper, he's a thicker paper.
Thinking about it, is foam core something that weighs more than a mask made of human skin? Well,
something I never thought I would think about.
That is an interesting question, and one that probably would only be answered by actually trying to lift it.
All right, Crawl As You Can attempts to tug it on the mask.
Von Fleet throws the felties on there, and they loosen the grip of the mask from his nose.
As everybody, hold on, the mask isn't off yet. As Punch and as a shadow puppet and a bunch of felty creatures are lifting off of the mask's face. That actually holds pretty well. Can you put a little eye through it? Can you hold on to it like that? Here, let's do this. Let's do this.
I got it.
As Crawl As You Can holds the great mask. Punch goes, no!
Put it on!
Here, hold this! As he drops Benji into the hands of Haunt, who is floating next to him. And Haunt takes off with Benji Grimm into the sphere as Punch turns back.
I put it on!
Towards you, Shadow! And picks and turns around and goes, you're all very naughty puppets!
Oh, how do I use... Crawl As You Can wonders, how would I use the powers of this mask now that I have it on my face?
As Crawl As You Can dons the mask made of the Maker's skin.
This is very uncomfortable. It was a horrible idea.
The Crawl As You Can feels unsettled, and as if this is something only a villain should do, is use the powers of the Maker in order to go into it, and as a result feels something very deep inside of him. Is it guilt? Is it power? Is it vengeance? What would a creature like Crawl As You Can do with the power of the Maker?
He would use it to smite down those who had abused the power before him.
As Crawl As You Can dons the mask, he can feel a connection with the other parts of the Maker that are in place. And what else would be around Punch's float that could be used from the skin of the Maker? As he thinks about this, Punch lifts a giant hammer from the back of his great throne and lifts it up towards Crawl As You Can.
Could the doctor whip out the scalpel and charge with his track team skills?
As Faust As Faust runs towards Punch, two hand puppets collide as they crawl down onto the top of each other. Get away! Get away! Get away!
Stab.
Crawler Can is looking around trying to find what else might be made of skin, trying to feel the connection that he might be able to utilize.
Isn't that interesting that a scalpel would go through something as small and as simple as bits and pieces of cloth? And as he stabs Punch over and over again, he just rips through the cloth that is in the front of him at the moment, leading to not much more than just angering Punch more and more and more.
He could then lift up towards his face.
Oh! As Punch chips off a portion of Punch's nose.
Crawler Can tries to see if he can use his powers of the Maker to communicate with Haunt and Grief and the other.
What is even going on here now? The narrator asks himself.
Trying to end Punch's life.
I see that.
Can I control Haunt? Crawler Can wonders. He tries to reach out and see if Haunt is available for accessible for control.
As Crawl as You Can connects to the skin of the Maker, he realizes that yes, he can communicate with both Haunt and Grief, who, like autonomous creatures of the Maker's might, listens directly and obeys him.
It's time for you to get your former owner and go after Punch!
As Punch lifts up the great hammer with his chipped nose, he brings it down upon Faust's great head.
Crawler Can wonders if Faust has the capacity to dodge.
Yes.
The Crawl as You Can would be reminded that in the world of Puppetland, dodging is something boring and probably can do better than just saying Dr. Faust dodges. There can be more than that, but I think even better and more dramatic purpose would be after a chipped nose upon Punch's head, he grabs the great hammer and brings it down upon Dr. Faust, crushing him, taking away, knocking him to sleep.
Oh no.
Though not maybe in a permanent way. He crushes him down and puts 3 puzzle pieces onto his face at the moment.
Crawler Can attempts to communicate with anything that might be skin and attempts to control it and make it wrap around Punch.
As Hunt zooms by, as he's still holding on to Benji Grimm at the moment, and you see as Grief now is starting to make his way into there. You see as several of the Nutcrackers are attempting to close in on Crawl as You Can as Hunt swoops in. Diving for Punch?
Yes.
As Hunt comes in, lifting Punch into the air, holding onto his hammer still, he drops Benji Grimm instead, since Hunt can only hold on to one puppet at a time. Dropping Benji down to the ground, but as Hunt takes off,
No!
He got my hat!
He got my hat as well!
Crawl as You Can's hat as he puts the mask back onto his face.
No, he got it!
That ended very poorly!
Lifting up and keeping his hat right here.
Crawler Can turns directly towards Punch and begins to battle.
You think you got Punch, but Punch is king.
Where's he going?
As Haunt takes Punch and flies through the air, taking him out of the world of Puppetland, or at least out of Puppet Town at the moment, leaving the Nutcrackers to continue to close in, while Dancer, holding the cube on her face, stares at it with a mystical awe of something that is certainly not of this world. It is not made of gems or jewels or plastic. It seems to be something that exists outside of what puppets can be considered natural. As Crawl as You Can sits with Benji Grimm on the 3rd tier of Punch's parade float, they watch as Nutcrackers close the distance in between them.
Beatrix von Flufflybows is absconded with all 3 felties in hand.
Oh gosh! So Beatrix von Flufflybows, in her maternal nature, took the felties from the narrator and now seems to have them as part of her tiny entourage, as well as Eek.
Yes, and Eek, she wasn't able to save that one that got disintegrated, but she's harboring some trust, and hopefully they're fickle beings, so they trust her really well. And she says 1, 2, 3 and launches them, not throws them, but all of them. She's got the nutcracker lever, and she comes like a battering ram out of hell at one of those nutcrackers, and then the felties and Eek kind of swarm nutcrackers around his leg.
Oh, well, isn't that interesting that both felties and a lever from hell being smashed against a nutcracker over and over again, wouldn't that do some damage to a nutcracker?
Well, I think so.
In fact, it would bring a nutcracker down to the ground, you would say.
Yes, Benny.
Thank you. By the way, more Bennies. It would bring a nutcracker right down to the ground. But there would be 2 more that would be right there in order to pick off Felties and Flufflybows at the same time.
Now, Dancer, I wonder if you might not utilize that cube and aim it at one of the nutcrackers.
Now, there's something that the narrator forgot to mention as part of Punch's parting gift, as his parade float did not go the way that he was hoping it to be. You watched as a single flick of a match tumbles down from where Punch was flying with Haunt as it spirals down and lands into the second parade float, the one that was filled with all of the wood of the various marionette pieces.
Oh, jeez.
And it goes up like a tinderbox. In fact, it starts quite quickly to spread as much as it possibly can. As the heat, as the flame grows, small at first, but it's beginning to build.
Does it go up like a pile of wood?
It goes up like a pile of dry wood.
I'm afraid I'm not going to be of much use in this occasion, as both water and fire are quite detrimental to my form.
And I can't really grab anything, even with my stubby little arms, says Benji out loud, while also wondering, oh jeez, how many puzzle pieces did I take in that skirmish?
Oh, well, you took, Benji Grimm, that would be an interesting thing, because not only did Punch manhandle you, but also one of Punch's boys, Haunt, carried you through and instilled the fear of the Maker inside of you and dropped you.
Says Benji.
And that, I think, is worth at least a couple of puzzle pieces. 2.
Wow.
2 being a couple in this circumstance. There is also, you watch, as the actor puppets continue to watch the nutcrackers close on Crawl and You Can and Benji Grimm, you see the hand puppets and the marionettes of Puppet Town start to grab whatever containers they can and start heading towards the lakeside part of the Lake of Milk and Cookies and start grabbing a fire line of warm, sweet milk as they take it as close to the fire as they possibly can, dumping bucket after bucket onto the flames.
Oh, good. Well, that's good.
But they can say that the fire is growing just as fast, if not faster, than the puppets can.
Well, then Von Flufflybows' entourage and children and everything else runs towards the nutcracker closest to the flames and jumps right on him and attempts to push him into the fire on the second float.
Are you really feeding the fire?
Yeah.
Because you can't ask quizzically.
As Flufflybows continues after her raging battering spree that she made,
splinter the nutcrackers,
splintering the nutcracker into a pile of dry wood. She turns to the one next to them as the other one is attempting to grab her, and she uses all of her force and the Felties' force in order to push the nutcracker into the fire. Now, this is interesting because the nutcracker does have hands, and that hand grabs a hold of one of the felty.
No!
As it continues to fall into place, it holds onto which one, Fluffly Bows, goes into the fire.
Oh, no!
Children die, Fluffly Bows.
Not Geek. Not Geek. Gosh, I don't know. We want.
What
I
a real
like him,
Sophie's
these two.
choice, says Benji.
It's one of these two. She felt a connection with this one. This was the leader of them. The other purple one's gone, so I guess the other purple one.
So-
Horrible choice to have to make.
Spadehead, the brother. Spadehead, the brother of Cloverhead, is now falling into the great fires as it falls and is lapped up by the flames, taking the Nutcracker down, but also Spadehead with him.
Spadehead.
Once Benji gets his wits about him, he decides to use the one thing he's good at, which is running around real fast and not getting caught, to find his friend, Doc Faust, who went missing when he went up against Punch. So he runs up and runs over and finds Faust lying unconscious because he got bopped on the head. Then he runs back over to his puppet friends who he know can carry people, and he says, Beatrix Von Fluffly Bows, I need your help. We lost Doc Faust and he's knocked out and you need to go and pick him up. Help!
Oh, copy that!
Come follow me, right this
Beatrix
way.
Von Fluffly Bows yells. She's in true battle mode.
I'm right here. You don't have to yell.
I can't do nothing but yell right now. I'm in full battle mode, like I said before.
I understand. Come on, follow me.
Now, during this time, the narrator should remind you that Guggenol and his team have, after seeing Punch be taken off by Haunt, has disappeared into the crowd and has attempted to make themselves sparse.
Of course they have.
Smart. Real smart.
So as Fluffly Bows comes up, she picks up the fallen, cracked body of Faust. I would actually crack your puppet, but I think I don't want to crack him.
No,
He's so
don't
cool.
crack him for
I'm not
real.
Gonna crack him for real.
Just draw like a little line on
Oh,
it.
we can draw a little line on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Man,
no, man.
we'd be you know.
We'll do it in pencil. That way you can erase it.
Artist. This is an artist made.
Dancer.
Do it in pencil. That way you can erase it.
Sits up. And
Holding
pulls
the cube in her hands.
Holding the cube in her hands, looks around and looks to see if there are more nutcrackers about.
As Dancer holds the cube in her hand, she can see that nutcrackers are starting to disperse as much as they can, with several of them gone, and more importantly, Punch no longer there, and a great bonfire coming up in the middle of Puppet Town. They are deciding that maybe this isn't the right place for a nutcracker to be in at the moment.
Dancer pulls herself up and tries to untangle her strings, and with box in hand, marches over towards the largest of the flames and attempts to start eating them up with the cube.
Now,
That's
as
an idea.
Dancer
That's
holds
great.
onto
Call you can things.
this great cube, which now, in her puppet arms, is the size of a large Amazon box.
A box from the Amazon?
Box from the Amazon, sure. She holds it and she feels a weird tingling sensation. Something familiar, yet altogether different and foreign. In fact, she can feel her very essence being vibrated constantly, as if she is standing on the edge of an event horizon. But something more than just her body, her actual consciousness seems to be pulled towards the cube as she holds it in her hand. But that doesn't distract her from taking the cube and scooping it like great buckets. She consumes each part of the fire over and over again as the heat and the fire and the fuel seems to disappear as it cusps the edge of one of the cube over and over again. And all the puppets cheer.
Yay! Dancer! You're
What an excellent maneuver, Dancer. What an excellent maneuver.
As all of the puppets continue to mingle and converse back into Dancer, who holds the cube at her side, and the actor puppets, minus Faust, who is quite unconscious, comes around and begins patting her on the shoulders and just getting close in order to give her the congratulations that she deserves. Oh, thank you. Oh, it was so terrifying. Oh, I've never seen fire before. Oh, that was gonna be a bad thing. That was gonna happen right there. And you can see that
right,
even
Esther.
as Mayor McTuffinhat approaches you from the edge of the crowd, bullying his way into the front and goes, Oh, puppets! Oh, I don't know whether to be elated or scold you. Oh, thank you so much for putting out the fire, but, we're in real trouble now. You've upset Punch. And what do you think he's going to do when he gets back to Punch's castle?
Make us asleep forever.
Well, all I'm going to say is that we better have something to appease his angry nature, and I would rather that you five are not here when he comes back.
We
So,
understand.
I'm banishing you from Puppet Town.
Banished from Puppet Town? What a
I'm so
horrible-
sorry. I don't mean to do this, and you're all so heroic, but I can't do it. I will endanger the other puppets, so I must ask you to leave.
We understand, Mr.
We get it. We're ugly, outcast monsters.
And with that, we're going to take a short break before we jump into our next adventure in the middle of Puppetland. But I think our puppets need a rest. So
I'm taking one right now. He's on the screen there.
we'll be back briefly. Thank you. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking around if you're still around, and if you decided to take off, well, get out of here.
No, we love you.
Wait, they're already gone.
Oh, they're gone,
They
so
didn't
yeah.
even hear
They
that
can't really
mess.
get out.
Kind of,
So you stuck around, and I appreciate that, because we have one more story for you for Puppetland before we end today's batch of adventures, really. Because now that the puppets have taken their chance at Punch, there's a bit of cleanup that needs to be done afterwards. My mother likes to call when I stream.
Mom.
Oh, Mom, you can wait, Mom.
her name,
Give us, you,
Mom,
it's only a few hours a week, Mom. What are you doing?
what are you doing?
Ma, the meatloaf.
Mommy Van
Does your
Norman.
mom cook meatloaf?
Mom Van Norman, I know, right? So, our puppets. Well, this is a good question, actually, and I keep this to our actor friends as much it is. I had a whole nother pre-prepared adventure ready for you, our
Okay.
actor puppets, if you wish. Or
Let's do it.
we can deal with the fallout of Punch's parade a little bit. In fact, I've already made the decision. So, thank you for contributing.
I like thinking that I had a choice for
Right,
a
that
second.
was
The illusion of free will.
Yeah.
That one went long ago.
we wear it well.
Yeah.
We wear it so well.
So, as
American.
our puppets begin to look around with the steaming pile of wet and milky wood that is currently sitting in the midst of Puppet Town, they know that if Haunt had not come and taken Punch away, that there could be grief coming here very soon. And in a town full of naughty puppets, ones that weren't very happy to celebrate Punch on this Punch's Day, that the town of Puppetland is pretty ripe for grief-stricken anger.
Thank you.
Thank you. I made a Benny bag, by the way.
I saw that. I didn't know what that was. You made it?
Very nice.
Are you crafty?
Crafty as a fox.
Looks like a picnic.
It's a picnic, so it's from barbecue tablecloth. So, puppets.
Yes.
You have a milky, strutting, filled puppet land at the moment. Puppet Town, that you've been banished from. But you know that grief isn't too far away. Yes, you've been exiled, but you do have a choice, as you always do.
Oh my gosh. Then Beatrix von Flufflybows talks to her little felt babies and is like, guys, I know I know that you know exactly what Punch is after, and you've been around him and Grief and Spite and also that other one. Okay. Could be anything. But anyway, you know what's going on. Can you sniff him out? She whispers quietly to her felt babies.
The felt babies, looking at their new mom, Beatrix von Fluffy Bows, who has made quite a collection for herself of tiny miscreants.
And killed off the others. Accidentally.
His choice. Looks at them with a little cocked brow, and that is the moment in which Fluffy Bows recognizes that the little felt gang could talk if they didn't have little tiny stitches sewing their mouths shut.
Dr. Faust! Dr. Faust! Idea! Beatrix von Fluffy Bows yelled.
Dr. Faust is awake? Asks Benji.
Oh, he's asleep. Oh,
Dr. Faust stirs
Oh, yeah, he
rumbles from his slumber as he hears his name being called by Beatrix von Fluffy Bows over and over and over again.
Faust! Faust! Dr. Faust! 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 Dr. Faust! Dr. Faust! Dr. Faust!
My head. Did anyone get the number of the truck?
Dr. Faust is back, says Benji.
He's back.
I remember a giant hammer coming from above, and now this.
Yeah. Well,
You went up against Punch himself. And you did quite well, if I do say so.
Well, do we at least have the cube still?
Yes, but I did unfortunately lose the mask, and I wonder, was such an encounter, would that have caused some puzzle pieces to be colored in upon?
Oh, your hat's gone. You've lost a puzzle piece for sure. Yes.
Yeah. And Crawlers lost his hat, if you can believe it.
That because you can, Benji.
Crawlers, what did I just say?
Crawl as you are.
Well, my mistake. I almost died just now.
As did we all.
And
We all
so
went up
Benji
against
did.
Punch.
Not only did he freeze in terror from the sight of Punch's maker-ridden face staring deeply into his puppet soul, but he was carried off by Haunt and then dropped onto the ground.
Yeah, I fell on my head.
To be fair, that is probably just as bad, if not as worse, as being hit by a hammer or having your hat taken away. One would say that all these things are not very good for a puppet.
or losing a baby you just got.
Oh, you need to lose a couple puzzle pieces for that too, as well.
baby.
2
I
puzzle
somehow
pieces.
feel like getting knocked out for hours by a hammer is slightly worse than losing your hat.
Then you've
Mr.
never.
Narrator.
Then you've never.
Well, my
done
good
that.
man, my hat was a part of me, whereas your well, I suppose that crack's now a part of you, so perhaps it is.
Oh, God.
In any sense, I still do have some babies left alive, Beatrice von Fluffy Bow says to Dr. Faust. And I think they could tell us exactly where grief and hostility and also spite are. What's the other one? Grief and
Haunt.
Haunt are. If
Yeah.
only they could speak. And Dr. Faust, you're the one that can make that happen. Free my babies, please.
Dr. Faust notices. He wonders in his doctor mind if I undo the stitches here, will they be able to talk, or is there nothing underneath?
Well, as Dr. Faust stares at the little felty creatures underneath, he knows for sure that he certainly can't talk with stitches over their lips.
Yes, but are there lips underneath the stitches, or are the stitches just the stitches?
They are underneath. As Dr. Faust looking closely upon the little felty gang, he does notice that there does seem to be slits in the little felt packs that are right under the stitches. Now, whether that's a mouth drawn on or actually made for talking, well, it's no way to know unless they...
Very well. Stand back! I need space! Dr. Faust lays... How many do we have? Just 2?
Just 2. They're the most important baby. Yeah, just 2. I lost the other ones. Oh God.
Dr. Faust lays them out on the... I don't know, where am I, first of all? I must operate, but I must know where I am.
The AstroTurf of Puppetland.
Where is Dr. Faust at this moment? Are and the rest of the actor puppets.
We've left. We're out in the mountains with some astroturf.
That's right, we had to
we've
leave
been banished.
Puppet Town.
Yeah.
Like the social pariahs that we are wherever we go.
Luckily, I still have all of my instruments.
Luckily, Dr. Faust does, because a doctor is not a doctor without his instruments.
Okay, yes. All right, now I will attempt to carefully undo the mouse stitches on these little fragment, what do you call them?
Felties.
These little fragment felties, yes.
As Dr. Faust slowly, with his puppet hands, works the minutia of the scalpel, he cuts every single thread with delicate, easy care, as if he was clipping a, wow. I was going to go with my gut response, but let's...
No, gut response, please.
Always go with your gut, son.
Let's go with your gut.
Gut
As
response.
Dr. Faust takes the scalpel and carefully clips each one of the tiny threads with the care and the touch of a lover, he can... Say about my gut.
No, that was the right
No, my good man, your gut goes to interesting places.
Yes.
He trims each one of the tiny little threads, and as each thread opens up, you hear the loud of a gasp of just frustration and exclamation as both of the Felties go up and look at Fluffy Bows,
Beatrix.
look at Faust, and give another deep, mournful sigh.
God.
Where are your babies?
Oh, make her be praised. They're back.
Thank you.
Creepy at all. Look at you can.
That's much better.
Okay, yeah, you guys.
Not the voices that I expected.
Also not the voices I expected. Are these your voices, or are these just after having been sewn shut for so long?
You don't like our voices?
No, it's not that. I just wanted to know what to expect.
Why would we have anything other than these?
I don't know how long you haven't been speaking for. It could have lowered a full octave.
A long,
Oh,
One more.
long time it's
One
been
more.
since
One
we've
more.
been able to talk.
That's a voice only a mother could love. Beatrix, do you love those voices?
I do.
Okay.
I do love them.
They remind me of my best friend.
Punch didn't like
Mr.
our
Hasty.
voices.
Oh, sure.
He didn't like them at all.
That's why he stitched
Oh,
them
that's
up.
why he stitched him up there.
Oh, it all
I love you so
makes
much. Oh my
sense
gosh, I love you so much. Oh, never change.
Thank you. It's nice that
Okay.
somebody appreciates the Felty gang.
Yeah, we sure do, and you know what? We'll appreciate you even more. I think you.
Actually, we're not even a gang. We're more like brothers.
Beatrice just asked them a
Yeah.
question because it's gonna take a
that's-
while for it to come
You're
out.
right. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we
where is
almost over time.
where is grief?
Grief?
Don't say
Why
that.
would we tell you? You don't want to find grief.
Oh, honey babies, yes I do.
Yeah, honey babies.
Grief's one of Punch's boys.
We know.
We're gonna kill him.
Oh?
Just a matter of factly, we're gonna kill him.
That's really, really great of you that you want to kill grief,
Oh, thanks.
but I don't think you can do it.
Hey, none of that anymore. I'm gonna smack those frowns upside down.
I would like to
Okay.
remind you that we did take out, what was the fella's name again? Look all you can.
Spy.
Spot. Yeah, Spot is no longer with us because of the
Smite
actions of my
Spite.
companions.
Oh.
So, see, we,
That's
With
I
right.
heard about that,
That was
And we have his
us.
ultimate weapon.
but you can't kill Spite.
Ooh.
You may have pinned him and hurt him and knocked him down to the ground, but you can't kill one of Punch's boys. You can just, well, make him not around for a while.
They don't go to sleep like when Punch hits other puppets with his hammer.
Oh, jeez.
What if we made them go away with this?
I wouldn't know
And
about that.
Dancer asks as she holds up the box.
What's that?
Not to
The
bring up
Felty
any
boy
bad
bringing-
memories for you guys, but
Oh God!
Oh, I'm so
Is that
sorry.
the thing Bernie fell in? Oh God! Bernie!
Wait. Here, I can make the memories go away.
You see the other one who hasn't talked this entire time. It's the little one with tiny little
these guys, the horns.
little horns on him, turns to his friend and turns back to him. Mimikyu? Well, that's right. That's a good. You're all right. I'll tell him. I'll tell him exactly that. Mimikyu wants to remind you. Well, not remind you. He said it reminded him. Speaking of forgetting stuff, he told me about. Well, have you ever heard of the wishing goose?
What?
What?
The wishing goose.
No.
The wishing goose lays wishing eggs.
Alright.
Go on.
Well, that sounds extremely interesting.
Well, I'm surprised everybody knows about the wishing goose. The wishing goose lays wishing eggs, and the wishing egg will grant you any wish, as long as that wish is to forget something. And you can wish any wish on someone who you want to forget something. So why don't you get a wishing egg?
And then we could wish to forget.
You could have
What?
Punch forget about everything that happened over in Puppet Town.
Well, that is a wonderful idea and something we should see to as quickly as possible before the ramifications hit our friends in Puppet Town.
Could we make Punch forget even further back about his hatred for the Maker?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, it's a wishing egg, but I've never seen a wishing egg before. It's the other one who's talking, the one that looks a little dopier. Yeah. I've never had a wishing egg before, so I don't know how deep the wishes goes. I just know that I wish I had one right now so I could forget about Bernie being thrown into that cube there.
Oh dear. Me too.
Speaking of Bernie, what's used two's names?
Well, that one there's Mimikyu. He's my
This one's
friend.
Mimikyu?
He doesn't speak too much, except to me. And my name's Timothy.
So we have Spadehead, Cloverhead. Which one of those is Bernie?
Bernie was...
Spadehead.
Oh, well, people call him Spadehead, but that's really just a mean name to call a Felty. His real name's Bernie, but no one ever asked him what his name was because his mouth was shut, just like me, until you came along. Thank you.
All of you have terribly tragic backstories.
I know, this is starting
We
to
feel
become...
very
Says
fortunate
Dancer.
to
Everyone
improve
just
your
called.
station in any way.
Everyone just called me Wishbone up until that
This is
point.
which one? Because of his legs.
Thanks for calling that out, but yeah, that was me, Wishbone.
Jeez, Beatrice, I thought you was gonna be a good mom.
Nothing like a mother's love.
Wait, what did I do?
She's just giving them a mother's honesty.
I guess you just pointed out all of your kids' flaws.
They
and the things
say
that
you
make them
always
insecure.
hurt the ones you love.
He's got beautiful legs and they're shaped like a wishbone. I didn't do anything
Ah, jeez,
wrong.
you did it again. Ah, jeez.
I would also like to point out that the Wishing Goose sounds like a great name for an indie band. Hi, we're the Wishing Goose. Our merch table is in the back. We have flash drives and CDs for sale. Please tip your bartender as generously as possible. We are the Wishing Goose. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Delightful, delightful.
So wait, your names was Timothy and what was it? Minikyu?
Timothy and
Mimikyu.
Mimikyu.
Timothy, Bernie, Mimikyu, and Tommy. Oh, poor Tommy.
Well, where do we get this wishing goose fellow?
I can take you. He's over in the Stuff and Tough mountaintops.
Stuff and tough.
Sounds like we have somewhere we need to be.
Now, Maker didn't think much of the Stuff and Tuffs. He was never as good with stuffins as he was with puppets. But I did hear that he did the first and only stuffed thing he ever made was the Wishing Goose. Come on, follow me.
We can travel the way that people travel here in Puppetland. By thought. Oh, look, we're here. We're at the Stuff and Tufts mountaintops.
And
What a wonderful event.
as the actor puppets make their way to the Stuff and Tough Mountains, they come across the fluffy clouds that make up the... Let me back up a little bit and try that again.
All right.
As the actor puppets approach Mount Stuff and Tough, they realize the mounty, craggy peaks pierce into a fluffy set of clouds. In fact, the clouds are so fluffy, they hang in the air just ever so lightly above the mountains. And as you get closer, Tommy points up towards the top of the mountain and goes, "There he is. He's up there." Now, that's the only way to get up into the clouds is to climb Mount Stuff and Tough and then make your way onto the fluffy clouds. But
That all adds up.
I guess it's climbing time.
But I should warn you, I've never seen a hand puppet or a marionette ever make it up there. I don't know how you're ever gonna be... Well, let's just say this. You're a bit heavy to be making it on top of fluffy clouds.
Oh.
I'll take this one, guys.
Well, and I will go with you as well. I am light as a feather.
But Ben Benji says they're gonna make it because of the power of friendship, Timothy. And
What?
Mimi Q.
That
Benji,
is a
that's
wonderful
lovely.
thing.
Perhaps you
Oh, I wish I had friends.
could. Well, you do now, my good man. I would be honored to
What?
consider you
Where?
amongst my
Who?
friends.
That's so nice. Who's your friends?
Benji, we are.
What? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That checks out.
Benji.
We are your friends. And also, friends
Now
of
look.
your mom.
I should warn you. Now, the wishing goose, well, he's not very friendly. He's not like puppets. He was a Stuffins. And the only people who ever come up to meet him want to take his eggs.
Hang on, just a moment. Just a moment. I can't help but wonder if it's a male goose. Where do the eggs come from?
From his butt, he lays eggs.
Now,
This is
Dancer.
Puppetland. Anything is possible.
Now,
We got
Dancer.
here by thinking.
Yeah, whether it's a male goose or a female goose, he's just the wishing goose.
Yeah.
The wishing goose lays wishing eggs, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Who cares what he identifies as, so long as he lays the eggs we require?
Now,
Fair,
this is
fair.
why I tell you this, because the wishing goose doesn't take too kindly to people taking his eggs. And I will tell you, I've never seen, well, let's just say I've never seen a puppet walk down the Stuffin' Mountains. Mount
Would
McStuffins.
he appreciate a gift? Is there some way we can convince him that giving us a wishing egg is a good idea?
I don't know. He's the wishing goose.
Well, I say we head up here and talk to him and find out what the young.
So as the actor puppets walk up to the top of Mount McStuffin, they continue to climb and climb and climb. And at some point, it gets a little craggy. And at some point, it gets a little sharp. In fact, it gets so sharp that some of the cloth of the hand puppets start to get ripped and frayed. As this part of the mountain in particular wasn't as refined as other parts of the Maker's Land. In fact, it has a lot of sharp and jutting curves that weren't sand down and smoothly refined the way that other parts of Puppet Land would be. And as you get closer to the felt sky, you realize that you could reach out and touch the stars themselves. As the twilight sky above you, you can run your puppet's hands over the top of it. You are so high, reaching up into the mountains.
That is amazing.
Can we take a star?
Asks Fluffily
Asks
Rose
Fluffily
as
Rose.
she looks around to her actor friends. And as she says it, she reaches out and realizes that she can pluck one of the stars from the sky and hold on to it like a shiny, shiny diamond in her hand. As Fluffy Bows cups the star in her hand, she realizes that this may have been the first hand that the star has touched beyond the makers.
Oh, wow. I will keep this with me, but just so you guys know, Geek, Timothy, and Mimikyu, this star's for you.
Well, I've never had a gift before. Well, I haven't really had anything except for my brothers before. Thank you.
Mimikyu spoke.
Oh.
And Mimikyu, takes. What are you giving? Is Fluffy Bows going to give Mimikyu the little star?
Yeah, Mimikyu can hold on to it.
Mimikyu,
Even though Geek's my favorite, she knows it.
as Fluffy Bows takes the star, she places it into one of the hollow eyes of Mimikyu, as it now gleams like a single star in the eye of Mimikyu, and it brines ever so shinely in the midst of the twilight.
It shines ever so brightly. You said it brights ever so shinily.
Did I say that?
Yeah, of course he said shiny.
Shiny.
Brights ever so shiny.
It shines.
Shiny and bright. That's a wonderful term. I think we need to write that down.
I'm good with words, please. I'm very good with words.
You're just having a crap day. It's going along ever so shiny.
It shines ever so brightly in Mimikyu's hollow eye as he nestles himself back into your blouse.
So he loves it.
He loves it.
Okay.
Anyone, Fluffy Bows, would enjoy having a star for an eye, especially someone who is close to the ground as a Felty is.
Cool.
So, as the actors sit atop the peak of Mount McStuffins, you see the clouds laid out before you, and previously you were looking above it to see that the cloud-filled sky was covering most of the mountain peak, but now that you're above the mountain peak, you can see a land of fluff and stuff and colored yarn and beautiful, towering clouds. It is an entire new land of stuff and fluff.
All of a sudden, Benji gets visions of being out on a sea in a pirate ship and doing some kind of swashbuckling. And he thinks to himself, whoa, maybe there's more to this world than just what's in front of us.
Isn't that a thing?
Ain't that a thing?
Wow.
So what are the actor puppets to do? Clearly, only the lightest of puppets could ever step foot onto this fluffity-stuffity land. But what are the other puppets to do in the meantime?
I think, I have to stay back, but I'm going to send my kids on with the others.
All right. As Fluffy Bows sends Mimikyu and Timothy out onto
We could
the
do some star harvesting.
They walk ever so easily and briskly onto the clouds with no problems, as well as Crawl as You Can and Benji the Finger Puppet, who are light as a feather.
Yeah.
And tiny as felt.
I'm on the cloud.
But it doesn't take long for the tiny group to find the wishing goose. In fact, perched on one of the towers of clouds, they can see a giant stuffed goose that is preening its little feathers as it's sitting on top of the fluffily stuffily bip. So that's an official term that I put together.
Wishing goose. We've come to bargain.
Oh.
We'd like to... First of all, how are you? Asks Benji, to not be rude.
As the wishing goose lifts its wings up and down together, it stares at Benji Graham.
Okay, we might have a problem here.
It does seem like it will be a little bit of a challenge to communicate with this individual.
Yeah, a bit of a one-sided conversation.
You watch as it lifts its as Benji Grimm talks to the wishing goose. The wishing goose spreads its stuffed wings and floats down ever so ungracefully, tilting from side to side as its waddly feet step lightly onto the cloud floor. and it waddles over to you, and that is the moment in which you realize that the wishing goose, which looked about the size of a goose when you were staring on it on the top of the great well, the great cloud tower, as it floated down to you, it slowly became bigger and bigger and bigger until it sat in front of you, 2 nutcrackers high.
Whoa.
Making it nearly 8 finger puppets tall.
Whoa.
That is a large.
As it looks at Crawl As You Can and the tiny, tiny felties, you wonder, why doesn't a goose this big just fall straight through the clouds?
Oh.
That is a good question.
The wishing goose stares down at Benji Grimm and, answering its question the first time, answers it again.
Great, fantastic. Hey, Timothy, Eek, Mimikyu, can any of you cute kids speak wishing goose? Asks Benji.
Both Timothy and Mimikyu stare up at the wishing goose and stare back at you and go, well, I've never tried to speak to a wishing goose before. Mimikyu? As he looks towards Mimikyu, who looks at the goose, looks back, and looks back to you. Nope, we don't speak wishing goose.
Okay.
Excuse me, my good wishing goose. Would you be able to understand our queries, as we are having some difficulty understanding you? We're wondering if this is a one-sided or no-sided conversation.
The wishing goose looks down upon Crawl As You Can and plucks. And it plucks, attempts to pluck the foam core, Crawl As You Can, out of midair, and upon dodging quickly, turning it sideways, lifts its head back up and twists it.
I'm not certain communication is possible with this beast.
Okay, new plan. I'm gonna steal some eggs. Kids, get out of here. I'm fast. Benji Grimm, stealing some eggs.
As Benji Grimm runs to and fro, darting off the first fast thing the wishing goose sees, it turns its head and lifts its wings up and starts flapping towards
Crawl As You Can is going to turn back around and appear and go, hello, wishing goose, and then turn back and disappear again and continue to do so to confuse it and
as the
distract it from
goose
his...
turns its head around from the great hello, that is part of it. It turns around briefly as it turns back around and sees Benji Grimm darted behind amidst the cloud cover at the moment.
I found your Lindor chocolate egg, you dumb ass goose. Come and get me. I'm so good at dodging stuff. Whoa! Oh!
As Benji Grimm darts side to side with the chocolate wishing egg that it's holding in its hand, it attempts to. Well, it's actually perfectly hidden right now from the wishing goose as it sits amongst a soft cloud of fluff and stuff.
It's egg stealing time.
Holding its crook of his neck.
I got it.
As Benji Grimm disappears into the pile of fluff and stuff, it turns back around, looking as much as it can for any infiltrating puppet that may currently be in its domain.
Do not forget, I'm right here, Mr.
Oh, he turns and he watches the wishing goose dart straight towards the Crawl As You Can. As Benji darts out from his hiding space in the fluff and stuff and makes it back to the craggy top of Mount McStuffins. And jumps back to
I'm
meet.
with, kids. Come on. Oh, you made it.
I see you made an egg. Oh, how's the wishing goose? I see you have an egg.
Look what's in my butt. I got a wishing egg.
Oh.
Look at that.
Oh
yeah, that felt great.
As the wishing goose gets closer to you, Crawl As You Can, it starts stomping around.
Well, that would be time for my exit. Thank you very much for sir, for your hospitality. I'm out.
As Crawl As You Can turns to dart back away, the wishing goose turns and plucks down and grabs Crawl As You Can and starts shaking him side to side as much as he can before flinging him off to the side of the mountaintop, and you watch as he floats.
I've never been so happy to be Paper Thin.
As he floats ever so slowly down the crag of McStuffins.
We did it, gang. We stole the wishing egg.
Oh, look at you guys. I'm so proud of you.
Negotiations fell apart quite quickly, I'm afraid.
I understand. Well, let's get out of here then.
Turns out that the wishing goose was not a intelligent sentient being, but rather an animal like a goose, so we just had to steal the egg.
Well, I suppose that makes sense then, doesn't it?
So, as our story comes to a conclusion, the audience has to ask itself, who is going to use the wishing egg? And who is going to make the wish? And how will they phrase the wish?
It's a good thing we have a good night's sleep to consider such challenges as we have before us. Think scroll as you can.
Good. Well, if you want to find out what they say and who says it, then just find out on Twitter. Because #ForeverVerse is where someone is going to post how they wish to phrase the wishing egg. Whoever it is, I will retweet it. So, guys, thank you so much. Because of International Tabletop Day, we are going to be having none other than our Mr. Jason Charles Miller run a session for our crew. I may even come in as a player, just depending on how the day looks. But I have to allow myself, with it being only 2.5 weeks until International Tabletop Day.
Get excited.
I will have a character prepared for you then, just in case.
That would be wonderful.
Maybe you'll pop up halfway through.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either.
Jason, you're not just running a session
Wand, isn't it?
Puppetland, you're running a session of what?
We are gonna get basic, bitches. Basic Dungeons and Dragons.
D&D basic.
1979 style.
Wow, first edition?
No, before first edition.
There ain't no first edition. It's called basic.
It's called
Yeah,
It was
dude.
before first edition.
I've
It was
never
basic
played that.
D&D.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've never played
Nobody
it.
has.
Basic D&D.
No one.
Whoa! Is that an original? Are those originals?
Oh my god.
Wow, those
I've been
are
playing
worth,
since
like-
I was 8, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
8.
You look great.
They're coming.
So tune in
Get
next
ready.
week. That's going to be great.
That's going to be
That'd be
amazing.
really, really
That'll be
Those are worth like
Basic.
$800 a piece. They're so rare.
Are they really? Well, shit.
Oh shit, I'm just gonna sell
Let me
them.
just borrow them and I'll find out for
Take
you.
comments.
Tune in to Twitter. We'll also update the wiki. If you guys are enjoying the show and you'd like to help us update the wiki, Chandra in particular has been pretty awesome updating the wiki as we hit certain story points.
Oh, that's
along the
amazing.
game.
Thank you, Chandra.
So
Thank you,
it's
Chandra.
pretty great. And just say you're all welcome to come join us, because I got a bunch to update as well too. But see you next week, and our adventure continues. Talk to you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of ForeverVerse. Make sure to like and comment and subscribe, as we'll be releasing episodes on every Thursday on GNS's YouTube, starting with the first episode right here. If you'd like to jump ahead to the current point in our campaign, you can always watch us live on Twitch, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to watch ForeverVerse episodes that are available right now, you can always go to projectalpha.com. They are all there for you. And if you want to watch episodes that we've already released on YouTube, there's this fun little playlist right here. Thanks. Goodbye. Yes.